Hi, I'm Darley Newman out on the Mattahey Trail in North Dakota's Badlands.
We're exploring western North Dakota, an area with a high concentration of nature and adventure. We're basing ourselves in Watford City and combining hometown festivals with mountain biking and hiking in the Little Missouri National Grassland and Theodore Roosevelt National Park. We'll walk in the footsteps of Lewis and Clark and Teddy Roosevelt, find North Dakota and America's roots through music and Native American culture, and more.
Welcome to Travels with Darley in North Dakota.
We're exploring North Dakota's Badlands and some of the prettiest and most surprising locations in this lesser-visited U.S. state. Located 15 miles south of the north unit of Theodore Roosevelt National Park and the Mattahey Trail, Watford City is a convenient base for exploring the surrounding area. A small town whose population has spiked over the past decade during North Dakota's oil boom. We'll find out what life is like for residents who've grown up here and moved back home, and take a look at rich history related to U.S. presidents, Lewis and Clark, Native Americans, and more. I'm staying at one of Watford City's family-owned hotels with Roosevelt links. The Roosevelt Inn and Suites houses one of the largest collections of Teddy Roosevelt memorabilia in the state and is my first dive into lots of area Roosevelt history. We're starting our adventures just outside of town in the Little Missouri National Grassland on the Mattahey Trail. Called the longest and most grueling single-track mountain biking route in the United States, the Mattahey Trail is over 130 miles of Badlands beauty. While many people also hike and horseback ride this trail, which passes through Forest Service, state, private, and national parkland, serious mountain bikers relish the chance to take on this trail through regular rides or through special races organized by local trail icon Nick Ybarra. I'm riding out with Nick from the CCC campground through a portion of the trail that winds through the Little Missouri National Grassland.
The Mattahey is a Native American term that means something that has been and will be around for a long time. And the entire 144-mile trail is marked with these 4x6 wooden posts.
Little turtles on them.
With the turtles on them.
For the Lakota Sioux, the turtle embodies patience, determination, loyalty, steadfastness, long life, and fortitude, traits you need when taking on this trail. The turtle shell signifies protection. This land is significant to Native American tribes, who used the trail as a trading and hunting network in ancient times.
The Badlands have an opposite and equal descent for every climb. So if you're climbing, you know there's a downhill coming soon, and if you're going downhill, you know there's an uphill coming soon.
So challenges and rewards out here.
Absolutely.
Nick knows a lot about the trail's challenges. He's been instrumental in the trail's upkeep and survival. Moving from Bismarck to Watford City during the oil boom in the 1980s, Nick began riding the trail in his teens and got hooked on its rugged splendor.
It is so remote. You can ride out here an entire summer every week and not see another person.
The solitude of the trail is attractive to many, including Nick, who has spent countless hours since 2011 literally mowing the trail with a lawnmower to keep the ever-growing prairie grasses from threatening the single track.
Nick, you actually come out here and mow this trail?
I have mowed every inch of this trail. Sometimes it's over 100 degrees in the summer, and when I ride the trail in the wintertime, it can be below 30 degrees.
Wow, so I guess you gotta be a little hardcore to come out and do this trail.
Yeah, North Dakotans are hardy people, and the Mattahey Trail represents that well.
If you've noticed, we've been doing quite a lot of climbing so far in our ride, and I'm patiently awaiting my downhill reward, which turns out to be quite something.
And look at this, wow.
The Little Missouri River, the Theodore Roosevelt National Park North Unit, and then, of course, just the beautiful Badland Buttes. My biggest fear of moving out here was thinking that the magic of the view of the Badlands might eventually wear off. And after a decade of being here, views like this still are the same. They never get old.
Back in Watford City, I'm checking out downtown during Home Fest with Watford City native and singer-songwriter Jessie Veeder. It's an especially fun meeting for me, having interviewed Jessie years ago about her love of her family ranch and horses for my equitrekking series. It's a busy day for Jessie, who's running Art in the Park at this year's annual Home Fest. And when I stop by, the band's playing one of her songs.
Homefest is a long-standing tradition in Watford City. It started as a tradition for people to come home for family reunions and class reunions. And then the main thing, of course, just like every kind of Midwestern town, is the street dance on Saturday and Friday night. Everyone comes out, rain or shine, and in North Dakota, you never know what the weather's gonna be, so.
Families, including those with four-legged friends, are out to enjoy the summer weekend festival. And if there's one thing I know about festivals, there's always a must-have festival food.
When people come home, especially the people who haven't lived here for several years, they expect certain things to happen at Homefest. We always feature a local band, giving your local artists and musicians a place to play.
Gotta have the kettle corn here.
Gotta have the kettle corn, and you have to have a cold drink. That's the rules. I think traditions are something that we can all relate to no matter where we come from.
Watford City is located in McKenzie County, one of the fastest growing counties in the nation. Rich in natural beauty, it's an area that's also rich in oil, and many people have moved here and moved back to seize opportunities during this boom time.
We've grown from a town of 1,200 people to like close to 10,000 in the last like 10 years. We had our 10-year class reunion. Over half of the classmates that I had have moved back home. And the median age in this community is now like 34, so I'm older than average, which is completely different than when I was growing up.
With this explosive population growth has come challenges and rewards. And I wonder how today's frontier town atmosphere compares with Watford City's past. So I head over to the Long X Trading Post to learn about this town's history with Jan Dodge at the Pioneer Museum. Jan's the third generation of her family to work at the Pioneer Museum. Her great-uncles homesteaded in the area over 100 years ago, and her family's remained on their farm ever since. Under the Homestead Act, intrepid pioneers from Scandinavia and beyond would make their way to this part of North Dakota to set up farms and ranches. Like many who have forged their path in a new area, it wasn't easy. And this part of North Dakota presented unique challenges.
It was a real life of hardship, and I think they were at the point of no return, of course, to actually get home. So they had to make it work. They had to deal with the climate that is in this particular area, all the issues and problems they may have had. We have had an oil boom in our community, and what that has created is a large influx of people literally from all over the world once again. And so a lot of the things that they may be experiencing right now are things that the folks experienced 100 years ago, leaving their families, trying to decide what they should bring. Similar issues to what they're experiencing now.
Jan leads me to a part of the museum which helps to further put the life of a homesteader into perspective.
Darlie, I want to show you kind of what a floor plan of a homestead house might be. This particular area is approximately the square footage of what a homestead house would have been. Basically one room. Imagine having 4 children.
Close
or
quarters.
More, or more, close quarters,
yeah.
Right. They might have divided that homestead room by simply hanging up a blanket across. So there would be your cooking and eating area, living area, and then there would be your sleeping area.
Well, having lived in New York City, it's not so dissimilar from how a lot of people live in New York City apartments. So, except for you have the cream separator over there, which maybe we don't have nowadays.
Right.
Being in this space and looking at some of the objects, I can kind of feel what it would have been like to live here.
At times we can say that we feel the spirit of that homestead lady that lived here.
To explore with more North Dakotans with a connection to the past, I'm headed to the Fort Berthold Indian Reservation, about an hour northeast of Watford City. It's here that the 3 affiliated tribes, the Mandan, Hidatsa, and Arikara, also called the MHA, reside. And though their new town looks quite modern, travelers can step back in time to learn about the culture of the MHA at the Earth Lodge Village.
This lodge is our ceremonial lodge, You know, it's a replica of the ones that we had way back from our Mandan, Hidatsa, and Arikara ancestors.
A recreation of the earth and wooden homes that were used for hundreds of years by the Mandan and Hidatsa rests beside Lake Sakakawea, within sight of the spot where Lewis and Clark and the Mandans met centuries ago. Darian Morset describes what life was like in the villages.
In the Earth Lodge villages, you know, from childhood, you always have to earn your way up. You know, so there's different stages that you did. And all the hunting, all the gardening, you know, everything was here for our people. They practiced a lot of religion and ceremonies, and they were connected with nature.
The Earth Lodge villages became centers for trade, at first for intertribal trading and later with Europeans. The village's location on the Missouri River would be vital in helping these primarily agricultural communities to expand to become trading centers on the Central Plains.
And extended families all lived in the lodge. The head man kept his horse in the front entrance.
So a real community feel here.
Everything was based on clanships and societies within the tribe.
The Mandan were especially peaceful, welcoming Lewis and Clark to stay with them as they passed through the Upper Missouri region on their expedition in the early 19th century.
Legends passed on as the Earth Lodge was built in the form of a bird's nest. And they took it from there through a vision. And all our ancestors grew up along the Missouri River, so we had all the timber, all the cottonwood there.
The land was harsh but rich, and the tribes thrived. In the 17 and 1800s, smallpox epidemics would nearly erase the Mandan, Hidatsa, and Arikara peoples, who banded together to survive. Later, the U.S. government would award millions of acres to the tribes, only to later reduce them to less than 1 million, where the reservation now rests today. And though the tribes swapped out earth lodges in favor of timber homes in the late 19th century, the earth lodges today are still in use for ceremonial purposes and still hold much meaning.
Maybe deep in your soul, there's a spot that remembers how it was back in the villages. Because a lot of people, when they come out here, they're just like, oh my gosh, it's so beautiful and it's so peaceful here.
Just down the road from the Earth Lodge Village, I'm checking out the 3 affiliated tribes museum, where artifacts from village life are on display.
My Hidatsa Indian name is Cedarberries, and my Arikara Indian name is One Woman.
Curator Cedar Henry takes me on a tour.
So this is our porcupine quill exhibit. The colors come from plants and berries across the prairie. That's how the quills were dyed.
Quill work required time, patience, and skill, as did gathering many of the materials that went into the everyday and more formal objects now housed in the 3 affiliated tribes museum.
This dress belonged to a Hidatsa elder. It's an elk tooth dress. Every time an animal was harvested, our people used everything. Nothing was ever wasted.
Cedar can tell that I'm truly enjoying seeing the artistry housed at this museum, and invites me and our film crew to attend tonight's powwow, an unexpected treat that even after a long day of filming, we can't turn down. It's an evening of kinship, dance, music, drumming, and a modern celebration of culture for 3 tribes that now live as one on a small reservation in North Dakota. To learn more about the Mandan, Hidatsa, and Arikara peoples and their ties to Lewis and Clark, I'm traveling back to the Little Missouri National Grassland. Along the way, I'm stopping by Tobacco Garden, a good place to refuel and popular for lake activities. Owner Peggy Helensas runs what she calls a mom shop and serves up home cooking alongside bait, tackle, and other supplies for outdoor lovers visiting the area. I'm meeting scholar and historian Clay Jenkinson at the nearby Burnt Hills Trail, a certified Lewis and Clark historic site, and a spot where Lewis ran into some troubles shortly after leaving Fort Mandan in the early 1800s.
Lewis was accidentally shot by one of his men in the buttocks at a place called the Burnt Hills, and so we are almost precisely on the site of this unfortunate accident. It didn't kill Lewis, but it could have, and it debilitated him for the rest of the journey.
So did that sour his view of North Dakota?
No, it soured his view of Pierre Cruzat.
Mistakenly shot by Cruzat, one of his own men, who Lewis would forgive, It would be just one of the challenges of traveling through North Dakota.
What were their overall impressions of North Dakota, and how was their time here different from other states?
First of all, treelessness, but they had their most successful encounters with native peoples here. When they made sort of a mental list of the Indians they liked and those that they liked less, the Mandan and the Nez Perce were always at the top.
The U.S. Corps of Discovery, better known as the Lewis and Clark Expedition, spent 214 days in North Dakota on 2 separate trips, more time than in any other state. Often when I visit historic sites, I like to imagine what these earlier explorers would have seen.
Looking out today, we're seeing grassland. We're seeing a lake that wasn't here before. How has the landscape changed from what it looked like when Lewis and Clark traveled through?
Well, you see no buffalo, no grizzly bears, no wolves. The glory of North Dakota today is a kind of peacefulness in the landscape, and then just endlessness, endless prairie, the savanna of America.
A savanna that's more diverse than I would have originally imagined. Next, I'm joining Clay back closer to Watford City to explore the North Unit of Theodore Roosevelt National Park, named after the 26th President of the United States, whose time with authentic cowboys in the 19th century in North Dakota would shape his presidency and the future of America. On the way into the park, we come upon a North Dakota traffic jam as we make our way to Oxbow Overlook.
Clay, you've taken me to a spot that looks like a postcard.
This is the Grand Canyon of the Little Missouri River, Darley. And this is one of the most spectacular things you can see on the Great Plains. It's the crown jewel of Theodore Roosevelt National Park North Unit.
The Mandan and Hidatsa used the Little Missouri River Basin as a bison hunting ground. These badlands remain spiritually significant to them and other Native peoples today. This land, too, made quite an impression on Theodore Roosevelt.
Theodore Roosevelt was here. He came here in 1883 to kill a buffalo. He fell in love with this place. He said it reminded him of the poetry of Edgar Allan Poe. When he came here, he was grieving for the simultaneous death of his wife and his mother in the same household on the same day, Valentine's Day, 1884. And Roosevelt wrote in his pocket diary an X and said, "The light has gone out of my life." And here he grieved, and he wrote, and he made long, lonely horseback rides and hunting trips. He threw himself into frontier life, one of the last little slivers of the frontier in America. He gleaned his conservation ethos here. He realized the West is magnificent, but it's fragile.
So he came out here at a time that was so dark in his life, and this helped rejuvenate him.
He was filled with grief, and then things got so much better when he buried himself in the Badlands.
We have fallen heirs to the most glorious heritage a people ever received, and each one must do his part if we wish to show that the nation is worthy of its good fortune. Theodore Roosevelt. Called the conservationist president, Roosevelt would work to grow the national park system, establish the U.S. Forest Service, create a federal bird reserve, and more.
So as president, he did more for conservation than any other president in American history. And you can say with some certainty, Darley, that it happened here.
It's almost like we should be saying, thank you, out here. Yeah, thanks for saving this special place so we can all come out and enjoy it.
During his presidency, Theodore Roosevelt set aside 150 million acres as national forests. And our next adventure will lead us to an unusual spot amid the Little Missouri National Grassland, the largest grasslands in the United States and part of the Dakota Prairie Grasslands. I'm taking a hike with Treva Slaughter on the Ice Caves Trail, and though it's summer, we will be seeing ice.
Here on the western side of the state, this part of the Dakota Prairie Grasslands runs through the Badlands of North Dakota, and it's a mixed grass prairie, so you have tall and short native grasses.
I'm seeing cacti and all these little flowers and things I wouldn't have seen unless I had walked through here.
Yeah, I always look at the prairie as a treasure hunt. If you're willing to look closely, you'll see some pretty amazing diversity in plant life and animals.
The Ice Cave Trail runs through the Little Missouri National Grassland and connects with the Mattahey Trail, mixing colorful grasslands and badlands.
One of the things about walking out here that I love is just how broad the sky is. You have these wide views of prairie, And I sometimes get lost to time because I'm always wondering what I'm going to see around the next corner.
With over 1 million acres, the Little Missouri National Grassland surrounds the Theodore Roosevelt National Park, creating a wonderland for outdoor lovers.
Wow, Treva, it's so dramatic here and so different than what we saw earlier.
Oh yes, the landscape, it's amazing how much it changes in just a span of 40 minutes or so. Here we're at the top of the ice caves, and the ice caves trail is just over to our left.
Way down there.
This is the heart of the Badlands. It's breathtaking, isn't it?
It really is.
And the views just keep on coming.
Wow. This is gorgeous.
You're at the top of the prairie and it's just laid out before you to enjoy.
We hike down to reach the ice caves. I've been inside caves before, but never an ice cave.
They're down in here?
They are. You'll have to duck pretty low to get in.
Oh my goodness. I'm trusting you on this one, Treva.
These North Dakota caves can contain ice through mid-July.
Whoa. See all the little ice crystals.
We're here in June, and it's been hot on the trails, so this cave's natural coolness is a great respite.
The cool temperatures and the snow from outside blowing in, the sandstone absorbs some of that moisture and then it freezes to the rock. And then over the summer, as it warms up, it slowly melts.
It's pretty wild.
It is pretty neat, isn't
Wild
it?
to be in an ice cave in North Dakota.
In North Dakota.
Wouldn't have called that one.
Back on the trails, we hit one more scenic area, and this one looks straight out of a movie.
It's this view, whenever you're out hiking, that keeps you going because you just want to see what you're going to discover next.
Guess you never know in these parts.
I'm ending my visit to North Dakota in a place that's familiar to me, on the back of a horse. I'm meeting back up with Jessie Veeder at her family ranch. A popular singer-songwriter, Jessie grew up riding horses and writing poetry and songs here, later touring the country and recording her North Dakota folk-style music in Nashville. I'm curious to learn more about how her family's ranching past in North Dakota has inspired her life and music.
This is the homestead place, and I grew up riding here, and so did my dad. His dad did as well. So there's a lot of generations of family on horseback.
Well, I'm excited to have you show me the lay of the land then.
Yes, I'm
The lay of the
excited.
ranch.
The lay of the ranch.
There's nothing better than exploring with a local, and in this part of North Dakota, Jessie's family has deep roots.
So I think there's something about North Dakota that just gets in people's blood. People that have spent a few years here and have moved away for 20 plus years, they come back and they say North Dakota is their home.
The Badlands gets in your blood, it sounds like.
It does, it gets in your blood, and I think a lot of people agree.
I asked Jessie to play one of my favorite songs of hers, Horses and Home. Inspired by a long ride on a horse named Rocky, the horse I rode today at her family farm.
It's letting it go, then holding on tight. It's what's left to lose at the end of a fight. It's saying a prayer before hitting the ground. To be gone, it's where you can be found, and that's how it goes, and that's how it goes with horses.
It's places like this that are wild, dramatic, and beautiful that epitomize some of what we've loved about North Dakota. So I wanted to leave you with this special view of the Little Missouri National Grassland. Thanks for joining us in North Dakota.
Just who's being saved?
From presidential history and the Theodore Roosevelt.
That was good. It was a light change.
We've been. Oh, am I in?
Oh, sure.
I pulled back to
No one
Okay.
does my hair,
Okay.
but that's fine.
Yeah.
to can just watch my family like walking firsthand.
I love that. I almost wanted to cry in the middle of it.